Hi everyone, Michael Berge with Digiday, back here at the Digiday studios at Possible. And I'm very happy to have with me for this segment, Ziad Ahmed, who's the head of Next Gen with UTA. Ziad, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Thrilled to be here.
Really glad to have you. Give us a quick take on what you do, what Next Gen at UTA is all about.
Yeah, my long story short is I started a company in high school called Juve Consulting, which ended up becoming what we're finding 29 called the largest and most popular Gen Z agency.
Okay.
Been doing that for a decade, and UTA acquired us last year, where we sort of rebranded from Juve Consulting to the Next Gen practice of UTA, but I still do the same thing. I work with clients to help them better understand and connect with diverse young audiences, and get to do so with my extraordinary team of diverse young people from around the world that are really have their ear close to the ground in terms of culture, and allow our clients to really understand what's now and what's next.
Got it. So speaking of culture,
Yeah.
it feels like the world of influencers and creators are the primary dictators of culture, influence, and all that. It feels like they've really taken center stage in the whole marketing equation. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on how it's grown and how you see their role in helping marketers connect with younger audiences.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no question, right? We're really proud as UTA to represent some of the biggest creators in the world. And as Next Gen, we work with a ton of creators for our clients, managing their creator marketing, their social media marketing, and the like. And we brought some creators actually with us here to Possible to be part of our Gen Z sessions.
Who do you have here?
We have Davis Burleson, who's host of the What's Poppin' show across TikTok and socials. We have Michael Vito Valentino, who runs Now This, which is a social-first news platform that's creating a bunch of TikTok property. And Aiden Cone Murphy, who's a TikToker, who runs something called Gen Z for Change. And then at a dinner tomorrow night, we have Fernanda, who's an amazing creator, speaking, who's a DBA talent, which is also owned by UTA. So a number of creators who are involved in sort of what we got going on the ground here. But to your question, I think that there's no question, not just for Gen Z, but for people.
Yeah, I guess
right?
broadly,
The majority of people in America today, across ages, are receiving their information primarily from social media. Right? That's a huge pivot from 50 years ago or 100 years ago, right?
It's a huge pivot from 5 years ago.
Huge pivot from 5 years ago, right? And so certainly, if we care about being relevant, we have to be in the news streams and information streams of people.
Yeah.
And there's no question that people, my grandfather included, are scrolling on TikTok and scrolling on socials every single day.
You got a cool grandfather.
And it is also a phenomenon that we have to underscore, that on social media today, it is 10% of people making 80% of the content, right? And what that means is that primarily we're all scrolling, consuming content creators, content, as opposed to all creating content ourselves, making content creators the most important mouthpieces of any message or any information mechanism of dissemination of information out there. But what's cool about being a content creator is anyone can be one. You can be one, I can be one, we are ones, right? And everyone has the opportunity to take up their phone, whether you're a brand, whether you're an activist, whether you're a journalist, whether you're an entrepreneur, to tell your story out there. And so I think that even the vernacular around being an influencer or content creator is changing, as I think more of us realize this is just the price of entry into being a part of a public conversation.
Yeah.
And so all of us have different incentives and different mechanisms by which we want to get involved in the conversation, but all of us have an incentive too. And so the question is how and when and where.
Right.
But I think we're here at Possible to talk about that question and to really say that it is so essential, right? If you want to be relevant today, to be in these spaces and understanding these voices and working with them and investing in them, if you're at all concerned about longevity or relevancy, even in a present sense.
Wow. Well, what are you hearing from influencers and creators, as well as the companies that help manage them, about economic concerns?
Yeah.
You know, we've got the issues with tariffs, supply chain issues. It feels very far removed from what they do, but there must be some degree of feel to, is it going to get harder? Is this more opportunity? What are you hearing?
Look, I think like everybody, I think everybody's in a position right now of uncertainty.
Yeah.
Of not knowing what tomorrow looks like, because every day seems to be a whole new day and a whole new set of concerns that we're grappling with. But what I will say is that I think as more brands have to be scrutinizing as to their spend, I think that will trigger a deeper investment in creator and social rather than a less than a pulling back.
Really?
Insofar as,
why is that?
When you think about what is the ROI of a stadium sponsorship, what is the ROI of out of home, what is the ROI of linear, it's not even to say that those don't have tremendous value. It's to say that it's harder to trap.
Yes.
Right? It's to say that they can come with really expensive price tags. And it's to say that in today's ecosystem, the majority of commerce is being pushed by social messaging, right? And when you look at the numbers and traceability of the fact that the average consumer today, when you where did you hear about that? A lot of us are saying where? Socials.
Yeah.
Okay. And then many fewer of us are saying the other channels. And so when you think about how can you make your dollars work harder and go further, I think what influencer spend might look like, you might see a deeper investment in nano and micro and more democratized models of influencer marketing to include more voices as opposed to just celebrity. I think the media mix will continue to be a healthy mix of the experiential and of linear and of influencer, but I personally think we're not going to see people move away from a space that's working, right?
Yeah.
And I think that unequivocally this space has value and has values. It also feels good to invest in diverse young people who are, speaking up and making their voices heard and changing the way the world works. And so I hope we'll continue to see investment in that space.
Well, there's a lot of opportunity to change thinking in the world, no doubt about it. But let me ask you this: what are you looking to hear and pick up in terms of the conversations here, if possible, that you bring back to your constituency?
Yeah, look, I'm always really interested in who are the Gen Zers on the ground, what are the conversations happening about Gen Z, and where and where not are Gen Zers being invited into those conversations.
Yes.
Because still disproportionately too many conversations are happening about the future without the storytellers of the future in those rooms.
Okay.
And so I'm really interested in the fact that we're really grateful to be partnering with Possible to do sessions on Gen Z and to plug in to a lot of the other conversations as the token Gen Z voice in the room.
Yep.
And to hear about where are folks interested and invested in platforming more diverse young voices, and where can we meet that by giving folks access to more diverse young voices such that we're not just talking about Gen Z, we're talking to Gen Z.
Yeah.
We're building with Gen Z. And so I'm grateful Possible is doing that, and I'm just excited to build with folks here towards a better future for all of us, hopefully.
Well, you see a lot of Gen Z walking around here, so
Yeah.
you definitely have a lot of people to talk to.
Exactly. That's the goal.
We'll let you get to it. Thank you so much for joining us, Ziad.
Thank you so much for having me. Thrilled to be here.
Cheers.